Hi, welcome to Astro Babble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
And I'm Lynda from Scullywag Astrology.
And today we are going to be talking about the full moon in Aries. Lynda and I like to talk about the full moon, the moon mansion. There will also be all the for the horoscopes for every sign, as well as the aspects will come up, and I'll be talking about a stone. And the moon mansion for this time, oh, it's been a while since we've had this, if we've ever had it before. It's on the belly of Aries. Oh, that does sound familiar. It's the second moon mansion. It has the nature of Mercury and Saturn. So those are so good, serious thinking, I'm guessing. But it from Christopher Warnock's book, The Moon Mansions, he says that it has a lot to do with the universal soul, sovereign power, reconciliation, and pacification. So, in other words, when you've ticked off the king, give him some time to cool off, and then this is the time to readdress some issues. So that's how it was framed in the book. So this would be a time like if you've ruffled some feathers, this would be some good time to smooth out other people's feathers. So this is I think a nice aspect.
And we've got a upcoming aspect between Mercury and Saturn in the following 2 weeks too, so that'll be interesting.
It's not an aspect, it's the moon mansion. So it's going to be so that kind of energy is going to be going over for the next 2 weeks until another lunation happens, which will be the new moon in Scorpio. So that kind of energy, that Mercury Saturn type of energy will be throughout this next lunation or fortnight.
Mm, mm. But the fact that we have an aspect with those two coming up, I think is quite interesting too, because
Yes.
just because, sometimes the planets that are mentioned in the moon mansion don't always make a aspect in the upcoming 2 weeks. So I always think that's quite interesting to look at the upcoming aspect between the two mentioned in the moon
See
mansions.
if it's a little bit stronger
Could be interesting.
or what kind of events happen on that day. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
So the full moon's happening on the 17th of October. Yeah, probably worldwide from the looks of it. And that's a Thursday. This is full moon in Aries. So it's a full moon ruled by Mars, and we have Mars in Cancer. So Mars isn't in a powerful sign here. It's in its fall, but at least it can see this full moon. It is seeing it by a square, but it's aware what's happening, so it can lend some assistance. And they're actually in mutual reception. The moon's in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. So we've got some mutual reception between those two. So that's nice.
That is nice.
We got Jupiter sextile this full moon, so that's helpful. Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus are all in signs that can't see the full moon. We say that's in inversion. It's like these planets are kind of at this moment not really aware of what's going on with the full moon. So, and then we have Pluto squaring this full moon by sign.
Only 5 degrees in intense energy.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have the moon go on to square that Pluto, and the sun is going to square it as well later in the 2 weeks. Full moons are about high points, culminations, or endings. It's kind of associated with the harvest. So, shall we have a look at the horoscopes?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, great idea.
And we recommend that you
Turns.
listen or read your ascendant sign horoscopes rather than your sun or your moon sign. And if you don't understand why, we've done a video all about that, and I'll put a link to that in the description.
Sounds great. And we'll start off with Aries, if you are an Aries, this is going to be happening. This full moon will happen in your first house. Lynda and I are recording this on 11/10, or no, 10/11. So October 11th is when we're recording this. If you are an Aries, this full moon will be happening in your first house. And this is things that will be coming to culmination that have something to do with just yourself. The first house represents the self and how you are. Um, we'll leave your family and your relationships and your work to other things, to other houses. This is just how you view the world, or this is how this will be impacting just you, as this first house is all about the self. I would for this time, I would be careful to make decisions with some thought. That square to Mars leads you to act impulsively. So be watchful and mindful of that, especially because that Aries is run by Mars.
And if you're a Pisces ascendant, this full moon is happening in your second house. The second house is all about our personal income and finances. So there may be high points, culminations, or endings to do with these matters. So maybe there's been a bonus at work or some sort of unexpected income. There could be a personal resource. Maybe you've been saving up for something and you're finally able to do something about it at this time. So some sort of high point, culmination, or ending to do with your personal finances and resources.
And if you are an Aquarius, this full moon will be happening in your third house. And the third house is the house that represents our extended family, as well as our short courses, the communications, and how we travel, the short travel. It's the town that you are familiar with. If we were to ask you to get coffee, you know exactly where to go. So this is be things that will be coming to fruition or culmination around your community, or your community that you live in, or maybe something that will be coming to culmination around family, your extended family, cousins, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, that type of thing. And there's the North Node right there in the same house. So hopefully there's going to be a benefit.
And if you're a Capricorn ascendant, this full moon is happening in your fourth house. The fourth house is the house of our family, which mainly concerns our parents with the fourth house. It's also the house of our home and living situation or real estate matters. So this could be something to do with your parents more than you. Or if it does concern you, it may be something happening in the home. Maybe somebody's leaving home, maybe it's completion or settlement of a property that you've purchased or some sort of real estate matter. I'm thinking my sister's a Capricorn ascendant and she is finalizing a house. It'd be interesting to know if it happens around about the full moon. So,
And if you are a Sagittarius rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your fifth house. And the fifth house is the house of it's the place where we have our fun. It's whether it's competition game like hockey or basketball games. You might have sent away for tickets about 6 months ago, and this is finally when the game's going to be. This is also the house of your creativity, whether it's art or even your children. It's where it's the house of fun. It's the things that you do for relaxation, the hobbies that you might be coming to fruition or culmination around this time.
and if you're a Scorpio ascendant, this full moon is happening in your sixth house. The sixth house is the house of service to others. It includes professions like doctors, nurses, first responders. It's the house of pets. It's also the house of employees. So that can be literal employees, or it can be those that you supervise at work, or it could be like a tradesperson doing something around the house for you. It is also the house of illness. So for some, this could be perhaps quite interesting. Maybe you're coming to the end of some sort of illness, kind of looking at that Mars, kind of wondering, maybe some surgery involved for some, hard to say. But yeah, that would certainly be interesting. That would be the best outcome for an illness, in that the end of an illness. Or it could be a high point, maybe you've had a pet attending obedience school and it's graduated at this time, or you're a first responder or a doctor or a nurse and you're graduating at this time. That's interesting, with Mars in the ninth house, which is higher education and that. Or it could be maybe somebody that works for you is leaving at this time, or there's some sort of high point or culmination to do with those matters.
And if you are a Libra rising, this is, or ascendant, this is going to be happening and taking place in your seventh house. And the seventh house is the house of the one other. So this will be things that will be coming to culmination around anyone who expects you at a certain time. If you are, whether it's a doctor's appointment, a hairdresser, a lawyer, whatever, it doesn't, it's, if they have to write your name down, that's where this house is showing. It's the committed relationship. So if you are committing to meet with somebody at a certain time, that's where this house is. That's where the energy of this house and full moon will be focusing for you. If you're a Libra rising, it's those things that are coming to culmination. So you might have gotten that appointment, finally seeing that doctor, lawyer, or whoever, but it's those things that are coming to culmination around those particular subjects.
And if you're a Virgo ascendant, this full moon is happening in your eighth house. The eighth house is shared finances and resources, other people's money. So this could be inheritances, debts, loans, financial agreements. It's taxation and insurance matters. So maybe you've applied to the bank or wherever for a loan and it's approved at this time. Maybe you're merging your finances with somebody else and this is a time where that goes forward. Maybe an inheritance is paid out at this time. So with that Chiron very close to the moon at 21 degrees, the moon's at 24 degrees. This is also the house of anxiety and worry. So if there is a lot of anxiety and worry at this time, that kind of is maybe to be expected. Look, a lot of this anxiety and worry is probably groundless, but there may be some anxiety and worry, particularly about your deeper or more taboo subjects, perhaps. With the Chiron there, that's just how it rolls, unfortunately.
And if you are a Leo rising, this new moon will be happening in your ninth house. And the ninth house is the house of the law or publishing, as well as higher education, the esoteric subjects, and foreigners. So this might be kind of something that might be coming to culmination or fruition around those themes. Things will be coming together for you. So whatever you might see the results of whatever you might have started 6 months ago, if you were in a course or if you're graduating college, this would be a time that maybe you're getting some things to come to fruition around those themes.
And if you are a Cancer ascendant, this full moon is happening in your 10th house. The 10th house is the house of our career and public reputation. So maybe there's a high point at work. Maybe you're completing a project or being honoured or rewarded, recognised in some way for your work. Or it could be that you could be leaving a job, because it can be endings. Could be a boss or authority figure leaving, because the 10th house is also authority figures. Or it may have something to do with, more in your personal life, something that you do that people recognize you as doing. And, for a lot of them, maybe there's some sort of recognition or reward at this time. So,
And if you are a Gemini rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your 11th house. And the 11th house is really great. It's one of the houses where you have your hopes and your dreams, your as well as groups and associations. This is a house where if you had if you wanted to join a indoor volleyball team, I know in the northern here we're expecting winter months to be coming, so we're going to be moving indoors a little bit. So you might be, you know, you might have thought about joining a volleyball team, and might be when you actually sign up for it. This will be coming to fruition around the people that you associate with. This is the people who support you as well. So this is becoming something will be coming to fruition around those themes.
And if you are a Taurus ascendant, this full moon is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of hidden and secret matters. It's the house of our undoing, so that can include things like addictions or self-defeating habits. It's places of seclusion or retreat, so it can include spiritual retreats, monasteries, or just kind of locking yourself away, working behind the scenes. Can be spiritual. And it's also places of confinement like hospitals or prisons. So there may be a high point, culmination, or ending. So if you have been in hospital or maybe in prison, or you've been working behind the scenes, maybe you're wrapping that all up and that's coming to an end. Yeah, you do have the sun in the 6th house of, amongst other things, health and that. For some, this could be the end of like a hidden illness. The 6th house is illness, but the 12th house can sometimes be hidden or hard to see illnesses, and that can include things like depression and anxiety and that. So, though, maybe more addiction. Yeah, a high point, culmination, or ending. So maybe you're able to release some self-defeating habits at this time. That's Sun and Libra in the 6th, so that Sun's in fall. You know, getting ready, wrapping things up. The next full moon should be in Taurus. So, that's your full moon. And that'll be in the 1st house and center stage, and you'll be back, much more visible. So this is a bit of a quiet time.
So I brought a stone, and you know what? Stones seem to come to people when they need them. And I think that this is a really good stone. And this is called garnet, Almandine Garnet.
Oh.
Oh, a lot of light on these ones. These are the natural ones. They're not polished. Where these ones are polished. And they're a deep red well, they're the garnet color. This is why they're called garnets. So it's a really deep red, and they grow in this particular shape. Here's a bigger one. You'll be able to see it. Oh gosh. Here. This is it. They have these facets, and that's exactly how they grow. This is an almandine garnet for and what it does is it's good for grounding, it's good for psychic protection, it supports recuperation after injury, and provides life force. So this is a really good stone. I have a bigger one, and I think it took a walkabout somewhere. I have no idea where it is. So I've just got these little ones, which are really nice. They do the work. But this is called Almandine Garnet, and it's really good for jewelry. It's a Mohs hardness of a 7.5, so it makes it a really good stone for jewelry as well. This supports the root chakra, and it has a Mohs hardness of 7.5. So that is the Almandine Garnet.
And how is that different from a normal garnet?
Oh, there's a Sespertine garnet. They're just different. They look different. This is a different kind of a garnet right here. This is not an almandine garnet. This is because it's just a totally different shape. It's the shape, the color. There's garnets that kind of look like a amber color. Sespertine garnet. Yeah, it's they're different on their because of their reflection. They're different because of how the light hits them and how they react to light. That's what makes them different. So that would be why they're different, why they're called different color. They're I could I do have other garnets and I will be talking about them, but they're different because they're a different color.
Mhm. Okay,
They're just different.
fair enough.
They're
Okay.
found in Sri Lanka, Brazil, Austria, India, and Afghanistan, and the Czech Republic.
And shall we have a look at the upcoming aspects?
Oh, let's do. Not a lot of them.
No.
So, but the first one we're going to be talking about will be Venus sextiles Pluto. And obviously there's going to be intensity in relationships. So look for that. There might be some actual changes in your love relationships as well. So a sextile tends to bring some good things or opportunities. So look for those things in your love relationships as well as even friendships. So just look for either intensity or a little bit of change.
Yeah. Intensity, depth, transformation, even perhaps. Hopefully, in a very nice way with the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Sometimes the trines and sextiles can be just make it easier for the outer planet to kind of exert its energy. But yeah, hopefully, this is good intensity. So, yeah. And just on a full moon, too. Interesting. Unfortunately, Venus is in the sign of her detriment because she's ruled by Mars. And but she does have the upper hand here because she's earlier in zodiacal order. Well, we say she has the upper hand, but I don't think she really does. Not against Pluto.
And the next aspect is going to make Venus feel a little bit happier. This will be on October 17th on Thursday. Venus will enter Sagittarius. And whenever a planet moves a sign, I always say to journal because especially when you have a benefic, you're going to want to write that down and make note of what planets handing you or giving you some nice things. This will be Venus when she moves into Sagittarius. She'll be feeling a little bit better. She's no longer in her fall as or detriment as Lynda had said. And uh this will be an opportunity for her to broaden her view of the things that she likes. So you might broaden your view of either romantic relationships or simply just, of the things that you like. If you always were liking, I don't know, red brick houses, you might go for a 3-story wooden mansion. I don't know. It's just things that would broaden your view of Venusian things, art, relationships, that type of thing.
Yeah. For some, maybe a few more admirers because this Venus is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is all about abundance or more, more, more. But yeah, look, this is a fun sign for Venus to be in. Yeah, and whenever Venus is in, wherever it is in the house in your natal chart, it does tend to bring good things. So wherever Sagittarius is in your natal chart, you may have some small gift or benefit or just more harmony and joy regarding the people and topics associated with that natal house.
And if Jupiter is her host, it might be two suitors,
Yeah, it could be.
as Jupiter is in the sign of duality.
Mm. Then we have that big break between the 17th and the 22nd of October. So we have 5 days without any major aspects. The moon will be making aspects, of course, but everything else is kind of a bit in flux.
So this next aspect will be Mercury will trine retrograde Saturn. And when Mercury and Saturn get together, it's serious type of work. So that's what I would expect with this. This would be a time where you may have to go over it because Saturn is in retrograde. So sometimes Saturn, asks you to look at things a hard way. So this might be cause you a little extra work, but it really is a good time to do that mental type of work. If it's a hard work that you have to do, this might be time to start tackling that issue, whatever the issue is. I'm not quite sure what the issue would be, but
It'd be a good time to tackle things that perhaps you've been putting off, things that need to be addressed and looked at, whether that's communications or, paperwork. I kind of think of, like catching up on paperwork with this. And with Saturn being retrograde, yeah, maybe it's something that didn't go through the first time, so you've got to do it again. And you may feel a little bit more like it's more of an obligation than it usually feels like. It's like, oh, this again. But maybe this time it's not just, oh, get in and do it. It's kind of like you've really got to force yourself to do it, perhaps. Yeah, good for investigating, I should imagine, with Mercury in Scorpio. But yeah, Mercury's moving pretty quickly at this time, 153.8% of its usual speed. So, it's just getting out from under the beams of the sun too. It's not quite out from under the beams probably, but getting there. So, yeah, this might be a really good time to dive in and tackle any unfinished paperwork.
this next aspect will be happening on the same day, and this is Tuesday, October 22nd, and I'm not looking forward to this. I don't know. It's the sun will square Pluto, and when that happens, it saps your energy. It drains your life force. It could even show up as a challenge to authority if you are in a position where you have to listen to authority figures or get yourself into a position of authority, or get yourself into a position with authority figures. This could be a challenge to that. This is also could show up as a breakdown with things that are happening around you. This could be just whatever the situation is, just might be able to see it just kind of falling apart and not working very well. So that would be the major things that would be happening with this sun square Pluto, is things break down and a loss of vitality.
I think this can often leave you feeling a little bit powerless, and maybe you feeling perhaps, for some, maybe a bit manipulated by some people. That sun's come away from that square to Mars and moving towards that square to Pluto. Just wondering, when does Pluto moves into Aquarius in November, so we're not going to have another conjunction of the sun with Pluto and Capricorn. We're going to have a sextile though when the sun gets to Scorpio. Yeah. So this is kind of the last hard aspect between the sun and Pluto in Capricorn, because we're going to have the sextile.
Even if that sextile happens, it might not be in Capricorn. I'm not sure. Doesn't Pluto move into Pluto will move into in December, right?
November.
December 4th.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have it. Where is it? Oh, actually, you're right. Oh, yeah, no. So it's going to move in on the 19th. So it won't quite catch up. Yeah, so it's probably the last major aspect between the sun and Pluto while it's still in Scorpio, Capricorn. So maybe for those people with natal planets at the very late degrees of the cardinal signs, in particular Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra, maybe this is a real kind of final push. I mean, everybody's wrapping up Pluto in Capricorn, but if you've got natal planets at the final degrees of the cardinal signs, or the very early degrees, like 0 degrees of the fixed signs, you may be feeling this a little bit more.
And then the next aspect will happen on the same day. The sun will enter Scorpio. And when that happens, happy birthday, Scorpios. That would be and the other thing is the planet is moving into a new sign. So, take note of that. It's the sun. So it's just shining a light on those deeper things, um those parts of the dark part of our society. That's where the sun is focusing. So look for things to, have go into the deeper relationships and the wherever this house lands for you, you'll be going and delving into those particular subjects or themes at a deeper level.
Yes, so the sun, when it was in Libra, was in the sign of its fall, so at least it's not in the sign of its fall now. But yeah, whenever the sun moves into a new sign, it's more focus on the people and topics associated with that house. So wherever Scorpio is in your natal chart, you've got Mercury in there as well. So thinking, communications, and learning, which is Mercury, and just, focused and selection, and, shining a light, like Donna said, on the people and topics associated with that house. So you may find that that area of your chart is busier over the next month.
And if those were not intense enough aspects, Mars will sextile Uranus, and Mars is that planet of separation, anger, impulsivity, and that's going to sextile Uranus, and that's going to give you that shock factor. So things might be coming up at you out of the blue from left field, and you have no idea where it's coming from. This will be happening Thursday, October 24th. And it's Mars, when it sextiles Uranus, um it wants to do the impulsive things. It's that unrestful kind of activity that you wanna bring in some excitement, and this will hopefully help you do it. It also could lead to practical insights as well. This will give you maybe some answers to how to go about attacking a problem. This is also independent thinking as well. So you might be the only one who's thinking these thoughts. So people are not willing to follow you. That might be why. It's because it's like really, out of the box type of energy.
Yeah,
It's gonna want you to do something new in a different way.
yeah. And like you said, there's that impulsive nature to it. Both Uranus and Mars are both kind of quite fast moving. So that could be something to watch out for. But yeah, innovative ideas, or just the new, exciting, revolutionary seems quite exciting, and is kind of revving up that Mars. And, that Mars is in Cancer, a sign of its fall. So it's quite emotionally driven anyway. So, if you can find something to be passionate about in a constructive way, great use of that energy. But yeah, just try not to be too rash. A lot of Mars aspects in
Easier
this.
said than done.
Mm.
And the next aspect will happen October 28th. So this is a few days away from the last one as well. So we're going to get some really good opportunities to do some meditation and some breathing exercises between these aspects. This is happening October 28th on Monday. Mars will trine Neptune, and this is a good aspect for charity work. This is a good aspect for doing something that you are not quite sure why you're doing it. So that's what I would be looking for. I'm seeing
Yeah.
a double trine here. Is that a double trine? Mars,
Hmm.
Mars, Neptune, and Mercury, and Pluto, Uranus, and the moon.
Yeah, they're quite
So,
wide though.
a
I mean,
lot of energy. Yeah,
yeah.
they're wide.
I should probably set these for 1 degree for the lines. I'll do that in future. This is just, I've just used wider orbs, which we would use for, like, reading a natal chart. But yeah, what were we saying? Mars trine Neptune.
Soon.
Really good energy to get behind and do something constructive, particularly towards idealistic or altruistic. Find a good cause and throw your energy into that would be a really, really good use of this energy. It is a trine, but there could be, you may find that you kind of, it saps your energy a little bit perhaps, but I should imagine it's kind of like, hopefully that exhaustion's a good exhaustion, like I worked really hard and I'm exhausted now, but it's like I feel good that I did something good, or I got what I wanted achieved, rather than just like, oh, I'm exhausted and ugh, you know. So that would be a good use of that.
And this next aspect will be Venus will square Saturn. And squares are always more challenging. They're asking you to do action. When Venus is squaring retrograde Saturn, this will be happening on 28th Monday, so the same day. It's you might feel a little bit of isolation. You might feel like nobody's really listening to you. It's a square is more of a challenging aspect, and Saturn is the planet that says no a lot of the times. This could be not a lot of warm fuzzy feelings, but this would be a really good time if you had an issue and a problem. This would be a good time to seek out an older person's advice,
Yeah,
but that's about the only thing. um you'll be thinking about your love relationships in a more serious way.
yeah,
Breathe through it. Breathe through it. It will hopefully resolve it. You'll be able to work with it and figure out what the right course of action would be to do.
yeah. This is kind of obligations in relationships or to do with Venusian matters, which might be beauty or art or harmony. Yeah. When you were talking earlier, like Saturn squares can sometimes feel really cold, but I mean, Venus is in quite a warm sign, Sagittarius. Yeah, I think this is kind of like, Venus in Sag wants to have fun and be out exploring and that. But, we've got these things that we need to attend to or people that we need to take into consideration and that needs to be done.
And the next aspect we'll be talking about will be Mercury will oppose Uranus. And this is, um, you know, for those people who have a hard time sleeping because their mind really works overtime, this is really going to affect you. This is a busy mind. This is just constantly your inner something is interrupting your thoughts. This Uranus is interrupting your thoughts is what's happening. It's an opposition is a challenging aspect as well as a square is. And when Mercury is opposite Uranus, I would think that you're going to have uh just that, you know constant chatter in your head. This could also be new ideas as well. Looking at things, this is definitely looking at things in a new light with that opposition. That's what oppositions do. They ask you to look at the situation in a more complete way.
Yeah. And even if these new ideas and thoughts and exposure to, revolutionary new ideas, even if it's exciting, it can be exhausting. I just look at this and think, oh my God, mental burnout. Just so much happening and having to think on your feet and just a lot going on. And I mean, that Mercury's in a fixed sign. They're both fixed signs because, you know, they're opposition. So they share the same modality. So, yeah, it will be interesting. But Mercury's moving pretty quick, 144.8%. But yeah, that day or evening, whenever it kind of hits you, it could be just a lot going on. And then you lie down to go to sleep and you can't, because, you know, as Donna said, you've got all these thoughts swirling around, but it should pass quickly. So, oh, and that's on the 30th of October, just before Halloween. Interesting.
And then the next aspect will be Mercury will trine Neptune. And this is when your intuition is going to be up. Your mental sensitivities will be heightened for sure.
Yeah, this is interesting. So we've got Mercury coming up to trine Neptune. Mars has recently trined Neptune, and then Mercury is going to go on and complete that trine, or yeah, it is a grand trine to Mars. So yeah, this could be very interesting. We spoke with Mars trine Neptune about putting your effort behind something, maybe an idealistic cause or an altruistic cause. Now there's kind of more thinking, communications, or learning about things that could be idealistic or altruistic, you know, helping others and that. Yeah. And then that Mercury is going to move on to Mars, which is action and drive and that. I think this is maybe for a lot of people that week or so, you know, really getting inspired and working towards something for maybe the greater good or for somebody else, you know, a little bit selfless rather than selfish. So nice.
And the next aspect we're going to be talking about will be the new moon in Scorpio. And that's going to happen on November 1st. So that will be an interesting new moon.
So this will
Mm.
also be ruled by Mars, because we've just had the full moon in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, and the new moon will be ruled by Mars as well. And Mars is at 29 degrees of Cancer, soon to move into Leo, but it can see by sign the new moon, so that's helpful.
And that Mars is in shadow period. So, or it's in its
Oh,
shadow stage,
that's
because
interesting.
that's where Mars will be going retrograde
Yeah,
back over. So
yes, I forgot about that.
definitely one to watch. You
Yes.
what?
Well, I'd forgotten momentarily about Mars going into the shadow period. So any of those Martian aspects that we have leading up to this may be things and events that need to be gone back over. So like that Mars sextile Uranus, which was on the 24th of October, the Mars trine Neptune on the 28th. Yeah, they may, whatever happened at those times may require you to come back and address them at some stage. Oh, when Mars
Mm.
is retrograde. Interesting.
Lots of things to look forward to.
We got Mercury with
Mars
the
is not usually one of mine. Well, actually it does, or kind of does.
Donna's day chart. So Mars is her malefic contrary to sect. So yes.
It's the planet that I watch for. It also resides in my fourth house natally. So
Mm,
anytime that gets activated, I perk up my ears.
yeah. Yes, it will be interesting. And that Mercury, just after, it looks like the first aspect after the new moon will be that Mercury coming up to trine that Mars, which will finish up that what is it? Mars trine Neptune, then Mercury trine Neptune, and then Mercury trine Mars. So very interesting. Wow, we will get to that when we get.
Looks like Mars has an agenda. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, How far is he going to get into Leo?
I want to say to 18, but that's just my guess. No,
Six,
6 degrees.
six Leo. He must be moving really. Oh, he's only
Leo.
moving at 68% of his usual speed. So that trine to Neptune is going to last longer than it normally would. That will be interesting.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm making plans already.
And Donna, where can people find you and what services are you offering?
People can find me at donnabastrology.com. Go on to my website. Hopefully soon I will be adding some things to it, which will make it easier to contact me. And for natal readings, year ahead readings, electional, horary, as well as medical insights for if you have a surgery date or something like that. And I also work with energy healing. So that is what you can do energetically. A body runs on energy, whether we all know it or not. I mean, when we're reduced to, when the water's taken out and we're reduced to dust, the only thing left over is energy. So that's what I've been working with these last few years, and things are coming around. Hopefully that OPA article that I did, that everybody it's available to anybody for free to go onto their site and get that the OPA magazine, and it's on political elections. So hopefully it'll be done before November. I don't know when they're going to publish it, but it should be soon. And that has some of the energy work in there that I did just a small little bit on the grid for the United States. So that's hopefully in there, crossing fingers. So that's what I do. And I also work with energy for chakra balancing. If you've experienced a trauma, going through stress, those types of things tend to knock out your chakras out of balance. And when your chakras are out of balance, it does not lead for normal, healthy living. So you want your chakras all to be in like a line. And that's what I do, is end the energy balance for that. And Lynda, what are you doing and how can people get a hold of you?
I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com, and I offer year ahead, natal, and relationship readings. So
Very nice.
we hope this full moon in Aries is good for you. This will hopefully, we've got past the eclipses. Hope the eclipses were good to you, or not too harsh. And yeah, thank you for your likes and your comments and sharing. So thank you.